How do you gauge and build interest via text past the second date? The best litmus test of interest over text, and especially after 1 or 2 dates, is their willingness to commit to a future date. Like, that's always going to be the real barometer, okay? Because anybody who's actually interested in you doesn't want to keep waiting endlessly. And they're not going to keep playing aloof at that point because you guys have already spent some time together. So my first thing is, like, after your second date, I wouldn't be texting for a week or 2 before setting up that third date. Maybe you follow up the next day, you talk for a little bit, and at the very most, you would invite her out later that day or the next time you talk. And that is going to be the most accurate that you're ever going to get. Investment in the real world is everything. Outside of that, by the third date, you would hopefully or have already flirted a bit. Maybe you guys have kissed. The best way to keep that going is to make sure that you inject a little bit of that into your messages. So for example, say you kissed the first 2 times you went out, then maybe somewhere in your message you can say, hey, I'm really excited to see you again. I've been thinking about the way your lips felt all night. Obviously, that's more forward, but this is assuming that you guys have already been kissing and maybe made out a couple times. Or telling her, like, I can't wait to see you again. You looked amazing the other night. I can't wait to see what you look like Thursday. Or just like giving her some kind of flirtatious compliment over text and seeing how she's receiving it. Because again, at that point, if it's a third date and you are saying, like, I really like how much you made me laugh the other night. You're really cute. I think that's really attractive about you. And she's laughing and she's returning that, or saying, like, I've been thinking about kissing you too. Great. Then you know it's on. If she's like completely ignoring that and downplaying it and acting cold, then like probably something's up, especially at a third date. But regardless, text is a poor medium for maintaining attraction. I think there's this idea that a lot of guys have that, like, oh, you know, after this second date, attraction needs to be maintained over text and it needs to be super exciting and super interesting. And that's not the case. Like, people don't fall in love from blank text. At most, you're just trying to, like, have a decent enough conversation to set up that next meetup. But whether or not a woman's gonna come out to a third date is almost never about your messages. It's about, did she have an awesome time on those first 2 dates? Did she feel attracted? Does she see a potential for an intimate connection? And so if suddenly she's like starting to flake over text and be aloof and not really commit, it's almost never about the texting. It's always about the connections that you made in person. Unless you're saying something completely insane over text, or really desperate, or you're hitting her up like 50 times. But most times that guys ask me about this, that's not the case. They're just following up as normal. They can't get her out and they think it's about the text, but it's always about the dates.